For this presentation, I'm calling it Putting It All Together, or Ideas for Your Signature Assignment. So my goal for this presentation is to help model the process of synthesizing or putting together the information and concepts that we've covered this semester and producing a presentation from that. So to accomplish that, I'm going to show you how I would take a look at the data for hygiene, looking at United States culture, which is my culture that I grew up in, and comparing it to another culture. And for this class, as an example, I picked Norway, simply because a lot of my ancestry is from there. So you don't have to do it this way, but like I said, I'm modeling a way to look at doing it. So let's look at the good parts of U.S. culture as it relates to hygiene, and then the not so good parts as it relates to humans, and then the effects on the microbiome. So we do have lower levels of foodborne and waterborne diseases for the microbiome, because that means less competition from true pathogens like cholera and salmonella and some of these other true pathogens that don't play well nice in the microbiome. They have a tendency to take over. So what are some not good parts? You would think that after these two that there wouldn't be any not so good parts. But we have a less diverse microbiome. This could be leading to higher levels of autoimmune disease. Personally, I don't think the research is quite there yet, but it's something to think about. Maybe a less diverse microbiome is causing higher numbers of autoimmune diseases in the United States. Maybe it's not. Maybe we're just losing a specific subset of microbes which we can replace. And so this less diverse microbiome, looking at it from the microbes' perspective, maybe they're missing some contributors that makes for a healthy microbiome. Once again, I think we're getting to that point of answering this question, but I don't think we're there. Now, because I was looking at Norway, so for me, this comparison is very easy because they're the same. But I would still talk about how they are the same because I'm comparing my culture to another culture. Now, let's take a look at diet, namely food preservation, as another example of how I would go about this process. So what are some of the good parts of how the U.S. preserves food? We have lower levels of foodborne disease, mainly because of refrigeration, in my opinion, and the ability to freeze things. Also, because of our ability to have refrigeration in everyone's home, we have more fresh foods, which means that there could be more nutrient-rich foods for human cells. So it's something to consider. Now, from an effect on the microbiome, more nutrient-rich foods are coming into the gut for the microbiome, and contributors, that community of microbes, are being benefited. So let's look at the not-so-good parts. We do have high levels of salt and sugar in our manufactured foods, which are bad for human cells. Opportunistic pathogens like E. coli are promoted because they really like sugar. They don't like salt so much, but Staph aureus likes salt, and we don't want to promote those ones. Now, I didn't put it in here, but it occurs to me that we have gotten away, but we're coming back to lactofermentation as a way of preserving food, and that increases nutrition here, and it benefits the microbiome. So I probably should have put some more over there. Things that you think about after you take a look at something that you've come up with a couple of days ago. Now, once again, in looking at Norway, they have pretty much the same thing. I do think that they probably eat more fermented foods than we do in the United States. So that would benefit their microbiome more than it would in the U.S. So that's a benefit to the microbiome. I've modeled two different topics that I want in your signature assignment presentation, and here are the other topics that I want you to cover in your signature assignment. I'm not going to model all of them because hopefully by doing 2 of them, you get the idea. But definitely make sure that you cover these other topics in your signature assignment. Also, I'm having you submit your presentation as much as you can get it to that point. I'm calling it a rough draft because it's never done until the final submission. And I will take a look at it and I will provide helpful comments. So make sure that you read my comments for that. And let me know if you have any questions.